Okay, so I had already curated sort of training about assignment sales before, but I was going to touch on foreclosures as well. We were just talking about what sort of market we're in right now. We have to be mindful, even when the news isn't that great, that maybe a lot of our clients now with the interest rates going up, you know what I mean, are not able to afford their mortgages right now, or maybe they bought something that they want to assign from a builder because they don't think they can close it. A lot of people are having trouble. We also have to find a source of income, a source to get business from, and where we can pull that business from, right? So I thought, I know someone had asked me there to cover some foreclosure information and assignment sale. So I thought I'd do a little one-on-one or a little 101, I should say, an intro on it today because some people I find, if they're nervous, they've never done it before. Like I always say to you guys, if you have anything like a commercial deal or an assignment sale, never shy away from it. Come to me with it. We can muddle through it together, right? Because it's business for you at the end of the day. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go and take these things from your clients. So I'm just going to go over here. I guess I'll start with. You guys want to start with foreclosures or assignment sales? I think I'll start with foreclosures. They're a little bit tricky for us. They're not so common or easy to find for us as they used to be. Back in the day, there used to be tons on our system. Now, not so much. So I'll just show you a few little tricks that I do. We'll go here. Let's minimize this a little. Has anybody ever dealt with a foreclosure before?
Yeah, me.
Yeah?
Last year,
Was it a pain? Wasn't it a huge pain? Like this much paperwork going through and back and forth with the lawyer?
Their own papers.
They have their own paperwork. Yeah, exactly.
Like I didn't know. I didn't have experience. We put the closing closing for 1 month.
No.
And 2 days before closing, they just like came back to buy it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. That can happen. That can happen. So did your client win it in the end?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah. But it's right. Like
This was my first time, I was so scared.
Right. And it's nerve wracking because we're used to working on our OREA paperwork and there's tons of legalese because they're not working on that. With the banks, they want to see their own paperwork. You know how we're always told never to cross out those pre-printed clauses in our OREA contracts? When that goes through a foreclosure and goes to the bank and their lawyers, you can bet they're crossing off so many of them. And it's a strange thing to go through. So we'll just go over real quick what a foreclosure is. So foreclosure is what? It's what happens when you can't pay your mortgage. Basically, the lender takes over owning your home. The lender then sells your home to pay off what you owe them. You have no control over how much the home is sold for, and will be given notice to leave the property, sometimes even before it's sold. So they will get the sheriff and boot you out, just like an eviction at the landlord and tenant board, right? How mortgage foreclosure works in Canada. Foreclosure can happen when the mortgage lender isn't getting paid. If you stop your mortgage payments, your mortgage lender can take you to court and sue you. And if the court agrees, the lender can take over title to your property. Okay. Foreclosure.
Can I ask a question? What is the difference between foreclosure and power of sale?
So they're sort of the same thing. Power of sale can happen for a couple different reasons. Um, you know what? We'll have to look over exactly what the nuance is in between that. We'll look it up together, right? Foreclosure is a legal process that allows lenders to recover the amount owed on a defaulted loan by taking ownership of selling the mortgage property. The foreclosure process varies by state, by province, whatever. But in general, lenders try to work with borrowers to get them caught up on payments and avoid foreclosure. So they say this, but this isn't true. I've dealt with clients who have gone through foreclosures. Trust me, when your client says, oh, well, you know what, I've heard that maybe the bank will sell it and the market's good now, so maybe they'll sell it for more than I owe, and then maybe I'll get some money back at the end of the day. That doesn't happen, right? If you go into foreclosure, they don't give you much opportunity. The bank is really ruthless. There'll be a whole laundry list of charges on there. You'll be left with nothing. And in fact, sometimes you still end up owing the bank some money, right? So the best thing to tell your client to do is quickly try and sell. You kind of get in a race between you trying to sell the property and the bank trying to sell the property, right? When a homeowner stops paying a loan used to purchase a home, the home is deemed to be in foreclosure. What this ultimately means is the ownership of the home switches from homeowner to the bank or the lender who provided the loan. In the final action, if the final action bid is larger than the amount you owed on the house, you will receive the balance. Never happens, like I was just talking about. Never, ever happens. After the fees have been covered, If they do not sell the house for enough money to cover the debt, the lender will still hold you responsible to cover the balance. Okay. So this paragraph is really true. In Ontario, Canada, we really don't have many foreclosures. Okay. Especially on Stratus, it's hard for us to find. I know we have lots of those clients. They're looking for that deal, right? They want that deal. They say, get me a foreclosure, because they think back in the day, those were a steal of a deal. You could get them for a good amount, right? But it just doesn't happen so much anymore for us, right? The big lenders all do power of sale instead of foreclosure. So here you go, right? So that they never own the property. Power of sale homes are listed on MLS system and can be found on realtor.ca. Not many of them. Yet you would not necessarily know they're a power sale. The best way is to get a realtor in the area that you want to buy and have them do keyword searches as bank or trust. These show up in our seller names. So I'm going to go into our search and show you, because a lot of times people go, how do I search? It's kind of tricky to search and find them, right? They're like a needle in a haystack. Many lenders will not even allow us to say power sale anywhere on the listing. Yet when owned by a bank or trust company, then it is usually power sale, and they usually sell for less due to poor condition of the home, right? With power of sale, they are required to get fair market value. It's not like foreclosure system in the US where you can get them. So you can still do it in the US. You see these houses that go for substantially less, right? They usually say, when in Florida, there was a good time to buy, maybe, what was it, 10, 15 years ago, everybody's sort of upside down on their mortgage, right? And everybody's grabbing these Florida properties for crazy amounts. They may have owned 300,000 on their mortgage, but you could grab the property for 50,000, right? If you're going to be chasing mortgage sales, they say the Ontario Gazette, the Royal Gazette, is a good thing. Classified section is a good place to find it, a local newspaper. It's kind of hard for us to take the time to do all of that, though, right? It's not easily available for us. Or you can go to auction. Auction's another place you can find it. I'm just going to go here to where I logged into Stratus, though, and show you the trick that I do. Let me stop the share and come back, because I know I lose you guys online. What did we say here? I just see someone wrote something. In power of sale, the lender sells the property. In foreclosure, the lender takes title of the property. Yeah, so that's what they're saying is the difference, right? That's why they're saying in the power of sale, they're more likely to get the market value, because they're not selling just to cover what the mortgage is at the end of the day. So when they're taking the title of the property in foreclosure, basically, they're just looking to cover what the balance of that loan is from the bank, right? Okay, so we'll go here. So like we were seeing in that foreclosure little blurb there, they were saying do a keyword search. Do you guys know how to do keyword searches when you're searching for properties? Right? So when we go to our normal search, we come here. Okay, and these are our normal search fields, right? But you can always go down to the bottom. Now, this is great too. I often give this little tip when you're searching for commercial properties, because it's hard to find specific things, right? When you go to other fields, you can add stuff. So they were saying to go to the seller. Let's go to seller name and see what we find here. So seller landlord name. Okay. So I'm going to put in here Bing and just see what I find. There's 4 properties. Let me just sort of, I don't know where they are, so I'm just going to pick. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's really a needle in a haystack. It's not as common or as lucrative as it used to be. We have to explain that to our clients. You know what I mean? That they're not just in there like tons in there and we're keeping them from you. It's hard to find them nowadays, right? And all of these might not even be bank, right? I have a funny feeling. Let's watch and see what happens. So this Rosedale one, see, the seller's name is Banky. So this isn't a bank one. This is Bankowski, again, not a bank. Here we go. So we have one, Bank of Montreal in Hastings. Okay. One there. We have one here in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Bancorp Capital. Okay. We'll go back and we'll try another search. Maybe we'll search for, they were saying power of sale. Let's see if any power of sales are here. Okay. Let's see, maybe it's people with last names. Oh, no, power sale, Freenad Holding Limited. Okay. Power sale, 32 Goodmark Place. Okay. So that's how you can do it with a keyword search. Okay. Very often, if I don't find it here for the seller or landlord name, I try to see if they put it in the remarks for clients. So let's just see if anything comes up if we do it that way. So you can add the field remarks for clients. There we go. So let's put in power of sale. Whoops. I don't know if it's really that many. Let's see. Power of. Maybe, yeah. Okay, so we have 16 here. So we see here that they've put it in the remarks for clients somewhere, letting them know it's a power of sale. Under power of sale, you see how it says they're in the remarks for clients? Okay. And then go to the next one and see what it says. This one in Nace, Ontario, under power of sale, 208 acres of waterfront. Actually, that looks pretty nice for 450. So those are how you can keyword search. They're not just an easy thing where you can go to one of our regular fields and go and find it. So you can do remarks for clients. You can do remarks for brokerage, because sometimes they'll make the remark broker to broker, or you can search in that seller field when you're looking for it. Okay. So there we go. Not that exciting for us. I mean, it is like hard to find. You can still find a good deal every now and then, but everybody I find is fighting over it. You know, they always had those properties that sell because they're behind on their taxes as well. Those city ones, the ones that the city goes and sells because they're behind on their taxes. Those are really hard too, right? You have to go directly to the city now. Have you guys ever bought them before for any of your clients? Yeah, they're tough to find too. Now, those used to go for a cheap amount. And they're like a bidding war. Those were like honestly became one of the first original bidding wars where people were fighting over them because they were going for so cheap, right? That and foreclosures were a very hot thing back in the day, but it's hard to find the good deal. You'll find most of the time they all go for pretty fair market value now. And I think it's just because everything's so available for us online. Like, you know, the information is so easy for the public to see and for us to see online what everything is worth at the end of the day. Do you guys have any questions there online?
Hi, Christine. I have a question.
Sure.
So if let's say if we do this search like that, can we actually share on on our social media like, hey everyone, there's this power of sale? Like, are we allowed to kind of repost that, or are there rules
So it
against that?
falls under the same rules of RICO. You have to reach out to that listing agent and you have to get permission for them to advertise their listing, right? And it all depends on what sort of red tape that listing agent has from the bank, if they're allowed to advertise it or not. Right. But absolutely, yeah, you could reach out to them. I mean, if it's from our brokerage, we all know the rule. You guys can advertise a listing without asking the agent because we're all under the same umbrella. But if it's an agent from another brokerage, you have to reach out to them. And technically, their listing has to say whether or not it's permission to advertise.
Yeah,
so
if it says why, still do we need to take the permission or not?
yes. So they reworded that over the years. Before it was just permission to advertise, yes or no. But now it's permission to ask the listing agents to advertise. So because they want to make sure that you're reaching out to them and getting something in writing back. So shoot them a text or shoot them an email, because the whole thing is that the listing agent has to have the opportunity to tell you the rules. Like, okay, yeah, you can advertise it, but you know, don't put anything up in the building because I'm flyering the building. Or yeah, you can advertise it, but I want to see it and proof it first. Or excuse me, in this case, I might say to you, no, like the bank is not allowing me to advertise this on social media anywhere. Right. So you have to get permission from the listing agent every time. And the best case is always getting it in writing for sure, because if it ever comes back, RICO will ask you, did you reach out to the listing agent and get permission from them? Right. Sorry, I'm just reading the rest of this, Neith Arson. In power sale, the former homeowner gets the excess profits from the sale of the property. In foreclosure, the former homeowner gets nothing. I think though, in either way though, don't you find if you've ever gone through a power sale or foreclosure before, they use lawyers, and lawyers always come up with, you know, I photocopy this, I spent this much time, and I find the few foreclosures that I've dealt with, all the profits get eaten up. You know, people think, oh, I have $50,000 left after selling this property, and it all gets eaten up. You know, they have to pay this, they have to pay the cleaning fee, they have to pay the property management to go check on the property, and it just gets eaten up like crazy. I've never seen somebody get something back from a foreclosure or a power of sale. It's almost like a punishment. Like they're like, you're not getting anything because we've gone into this foreclosure now. So okay, so we'll go back in here and we'll go on to assignment sales. So assignment sales are another good place for us to get some business. Let's go back here to training.
So foreclosure is not that easy closure, like we buy for the property at end of the closing date, they will get the key or something like this. Is it that simple or really hard?
Well, like Mary was saying, in her experience, the original owners came a couple days before closing and tried to buy the property back.
Yeah.
So it all depends what their what paperwork they have. I mean, they could have first right of refusal, and they could technically bump Mary's buyer. Right? So you must have won because maybe there wasn't a clause to have first right of refusal in their documents. Do you know what I mean? Your buyer must have won because of that. Or there must have been some kind of reason why they couldn't buy their property back.
No,
so
because they could not bring the funds.
They couldn't bring the funds. Oh, well, that's a big reason why for sure.
Had them to go for and bring the money like the what do you say the amount of the mortgage in 1 week, but they could not come with the money.
Oh,
and
see?
then they gave them another extension.
Yeah.
Because the buyer's situation was when he was sick.
Yeah.
Like,
see, so he must have had first right of refusal then. Because if he had come with the money, your buyer would have got bumped. Yeah. So I had a funny story. That's okay.
If they would bring the money, so they would take back, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard people doing even last minute before just the signing.
Yeah. So I had a client who bought, she had bought shortly, like before I met her, through some kind of mortgage guy. He said, oh, hey, I have this foreclosure, right? And she bought privately through him, and she owned this property on Gatewin. And I actually put it up for sale years later. During her course of owning the home, she was going through a legal battle with the original owner because they had gone into foreclosure. Somehow this mortgage agent, I don't know because I wasn't there for that original sale. Somehow it said, hey, I got this foreclosure, sold it to my client. And she was living there for years and years. And she was in a big court battle the whole time with the original person who had gone into foreclosure, right?
So
yeah.
That is the new one having a battle with the
yeah, because they were trying to take the title back and they were saying it's my property. And how could you buy it? It's my property. And then she would go to court and say, well, I bought it through this mortgage agent and it was in foreclosure and the title's in my name. And she just got wrapped up in it. It was crazy court battle. So you have to be careful.
Always be in favor of that, like the owner.
Yeah, the original one, right? Because like I say, most contracts have that first right of refusal where you say, okay, I was the original title owner and mortgage holder, right? Now my first right of refusal means that I get the first right to refuse to say, no, okay, I don't want to carry this property anymore, right? So that's why when I heard your buyer won it, my first thought was maybe that they didn't have that clause in there, but they must have, but they just didn't come up with the funds. Yeah.
If they're like a second mortgage, they cannot make payment also, then they can go for ask for the foreclosure. Second mortgage.
Yes, they can. They can say you're in default and they can, but they always stand second to the first mortgage, right? So then it's tricky because then they have to make sure the first mortgage is paid out before they get paid out, right? That's why everybody's always fighting to stand in first position. A banks will never not stand in anything but first position, right? Yeah. So they have to make sure everything's paid out at the end of the day, though, because the first, whoever's in first position gets paid first. Yeah. So if you do go into default, say you only get enough to cover your first mortgage and your second mortgage is the one suing you, you have to cover that whole amount yourself, right?
And the lender goes for foreclosure for how many missed payment? Like how many months? Like 2 months, 3 months?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would say like after 3 missed payments, they start doing some sort of like legal action against you, right? They do give you time though. Like it is a little bit of a drawn out process. They can't just say you missed one payment and go. But I would imagine that every mortgage is sort of different depending on what they write in their contract. Like if you miss this many payments, then we're going to go into foreclosure, right? So you read your document carefully. Don't miss your mortgage payment. I know, right? It's hard.
Not even agent or like the homeowner, they don't have go through like all the line by line conditions.
I know. But it's hard because at the end of the day, when you want to break your mortgage or you want to change it or you miss a payment, God forbid, something like that, you don't know what's going to happen, right? You should be at least like, I don't know, reading the highlights of it, right? Going through it and figuring it out. All right. So what is an assignment? So does everybody understand who's done an assignment sale before? No? Okay, so it does get a little confusing. I'm going to bring up our paperwork that we do. I was thinking of even I realized today when we were going to go over this topic that I don't have an assignment sale kit in our templates for us. So maybe I'll create one and put that in there for the office, right? So bought a pre-construction condo and looking to sell it before you take possession. Here's what you need to know. So we bought a pre-construction project. It's not being built for a couple of years. First thing, what you have to do when your client wants to do this sort of thing, because a lot of people want to buy it and they want to assign it, not necessarily because they can't close or they don't want to close, but they want to do it before they have to incur the closing costs because they want to make their money of the increased value. right? Of the condo sold for 100,000, today. Yeah. And then 2 years from now, I might be able to sell it for 150 or 200,000, right? And I'm going to make that increased profit without having to incur the closing costs and everything, right? So now this is how I'm going to make money as a buyer. So first thing that you're doing is when you go to that builder, you've got to make sure that the builder's documents allow assignment sales, because some builders don't, right? So you have to make sure that they have that in there in order for your client to be able to assign. Or if your client is coming to you now at this time saying, ooh, I don't know, the interest rates have gone up and I'm supposed to be closing this condo soon and I don't think I want to do it, I want to assign it, you have to get that builder paperwork off of them to make sure that that assignment clause is in there that they're allowed to sign. Very often a builder will charge a fee to assign the condo, right? So the builder wants to take a little piece of the pie for you assigning the contract. So what is an assignment? Assignment is when the seller sells their interest in a property before they take possession. In other words, they sell the contract they have with the builder to a new purchaser. So there's no physical asset yet because it hasn't been built, or maybe it's halfway being built. But in other words, they sell the contract they have with the builder to a new purchaser. When a seller assigns a property, they aren't actually selling the property because they don't own it yet. They don't have title to it yet. They've just bought a contract with this builder, right? Why don't they have title to it yet?
It's not completed yet.
It's not completed yet.
It's not physically there.
Yeah, it's not physically there. So
yeah.
So a lot of times, like when you buy a project, even when it's physically there, the purchaser goes into a time period of occupancy. Occupancy is there because even though the property is physically there, the city probably hasn't properly put a title or deed on it yet. Right? So you can't physically own it until you have that title or deed. So it's the same thing here in the assignment sales. Nothing, you're just owning the contract between the purchaser and the builder. They are selling their promise to purchase it along with the rights and obligations of their agreement of purchase and sale contract. The buyer of an assignment is essentially stepping into the shoes of the original purchaser. The original purchaser is considered to be the assigner. The new buyer is the assignee. The assignee is the one who will complete the final sale with the builder. So, do assignments only happen with pre-construction condos? It's possible to assign any type of property, pre-construction or resale, provided there aren't restrictions against assignment in the original contract. An assignment allows a buyer of any kind of home to sell their interest in that property before they take possession of it. So we kind of curb this because if we know there might be something, we usually put that clause in where we can change the seller's name at some point, or sorry, not the seller, the buyer's name at some point when we do an agreement of purchase and sale. But say you did get stuck somewhere in the middle of a sale, you could assign your agreement of purchase and sale for a resale home as well. You don't see it happen that often because most people think, you got to close. And also the seller has to be in agreement if you want to do that with your contract, right? So why would someone want to assign a condo? Often with pre-construction sales, there's a long time lag between when the original contract is entered into, when the buyer can move in, the interim occupancy period, and the final closing. It's not uncommon for a buyer's circumstances to change during that time. New job out of the city, new husband or wife, new set of twins. What worked for a buyer's lifestyle 4 years ago doesn't always work come closing time. So I say this like now, the interest rates have gone up and up and up. Somebody who purchased something, over a year ago might be really wondering whether they want to close this condo now. Another common reason why people want to assign a contract is financial. Sometimes the original purchaser doesn't have the funds or can't get the financing to complete the sale. And it's cheaper to assign the contract to a new purchaser than it is to renege on the sale. Lastly, assignment sales are also common with speculative investors who buy pre-construction properties with no intention of closing on them. In these cases, the investors are banking on quick price appreciation and are eager to look into a profit now versus waiting for the original closing date. So, I mean, it's risky because you can't always assign and sometimes you're forced to close. But I've had clients before and I've seen agents with clients before where this is all they do. Instead of taking your $100,000 and putting it in one resale property, they might break it up into, I'm talking in small terms, obviously, because it's not $25,000, but you could do 25, 25, 25, 25, put it on 4 pre-construction projects, sell all 4 for a profit, and then take the profit from that and go and put it on another one without ever having to incur the big costs of actually closing that condo at the end of the day, right? Good way for your clients to be making money, right? What can be negotiated in an assignment sale? Because the assignee is taking over the original purchaser's contract, they can't negotiate the price or terms of the contract with the builder. They're simply taking over the contract as it already exists, as you negotiated it. In most cases, the assignee will mirror the deposit that you made to the buyer. So if you made a 20% deposit, you can expect the new purchaser to do the same. Most sellers of assignments are looking to make a profit, and part of an assignment sale negotiation is agreeing on price. Your real estate agent can guide you on price, which is us, which will determine your profit or loss. So you usually go in there, and sometimes it's really hard, especially if assignment period is just sort of started to see comparables online, but you're going to have to set a price there that's good for your client, or they might already have in mind how much profit they want to make. Builder approval and fees. So remember that huge legal document you signed when you made an offer to buy a pre-construction condo? It's time to take it out and actually read it. That's what we're talking about, actually reading the document at the end of the day. Your agreement of purchase and sale stipulates your rights to assign the contract. While most builders allow assignments, there's usually an assignment fee that must be paid to the builder. We've seen everything from $750 to $7,000. So I've seen as low as $500 as well, right? There may be additional requirements as well, the most common being that the builder has to approve the assignment. So that's another thing, right? The builder has to approve it. So you have to be writing in that clause if you're doing an offer for an assignment sale, because, you know, when you first purchase the condo, they ask you to give your pre-approval and everything for your buyer. They might want that same criteria from the new person buying the assignment, right? Marketing restrictions. Most pre-construction agreements to purchase and sale from Toronto builders do not allow the marketing of an assignment. So while the builder may give you the right to assign your contract, they restrict you from posting it to MLS or advertising it. So another biggie, if you get from your client an assignment sale, you not only have to read if the builder's going to allow that assignment, but you have to read if you're actually allowed to post it on MLS or if this is going to be an exclusive listing for you. Because sometimes they don't allow you to put it up on MLS, right?
If we found the listing in app, because there are many other apps, there's 100 of assignments. Is that okay? Or?
So you just have to read what the builder says. So I don't know, like builders have their own rights to write in whatever they want. If they say you don't go on MLS, but you can advertise on your social media, yeah, for sure. Or in your WhatsApp chats with other realtors or whatever other, you know, way you use to network your listings, right? You just have to read. It kind of goes per builder what they're allowing and what they're not allowing, right? While it may be very tempting to float the no marketing rule, be very careful. Buyers guilty of marketing an assignment against the rules can be considered to have breached the agreement, and the builder can cancel your contract and keep your deposit. So it's really serious, right? Because they don't want you advertising. We don't recommend advertising an assignment for sale if it's against the rules of your contract. So how can you find a buyer then? There are realtors who specialize in assignment sales. I guess, you know, nowadays I find nobody's really a specialist in any very particular area. You know, we sort of do a lot of everything. It was true back in the day. You'd only have the commercial people and you'd only have the people doing condos, for instance, but sort of everybody does everything now. And I encourage it because you guys, that's the best way to make money. You know, it's limitless. So if you want to be connected with an agent who knows the ins and outs of assignment sales, get in touch, right? We'll figure it out together as a group here. What are the tax implications of real estate assignments? Always get tax advice from a certified accountant, not from the internet. But in general, any profit made from an assignment is taxable and any loss can be written off. The new buyer assignee will be responsible for paying land transfer taxes and HST that might be due. So, you know, our HST is always included in like resale. In new builds, it's not, right? So you have to figure that out. How much does it cost to assign a pre-construction condo? In addition to the builder assignment fee, you will likely have to pay real estate commission, which is us, unless you find the buyer yourself, and legal fees. Because assignments are more complicated, you can expect to pay higher legal fees than you would for a resale property, okay? Because there's a lot more for your lawyer to be doing. They have to be figuring out not only what you've already paid, but what the buyer owes you to, you know, for money, and what they already paid to the builder, what the buyer has to, you know, pay towards that, whatever deposit you've already paid, right? How does the closing of an assignment work? With assignment sales, there are essentially two closings. The closing between the assigner and the assignee. So now you've bought my contract, we're closed, great. And the closing between the assignee and the builder. So that would be whatever the builder had said is the original closing date. With the first closing, the assignment closing, the original purchaser receives their deposit plus any profit, or their deposit less any loss from the assignee. So they're going to receive their deposit. I've given the builder 20%, I get my 20% back. And I sold the condo for 50,000 more than I purchased it, I get that 50,000 as well, right? In the second closing between the builder and the assignee pays the remaining amount to the builder, usually with the help of a mortgage, and pays their land transfer taxes. Title of the property transfers from the builder to the assignee at this point, right? I'm going to get through this a little quickly because I want to go on to some of the paperwork and show you the paperwork. So assignments versus resale, which is better, right? Our guests, your clients will often ask you this. So the pros of assigning versus waiting: you get your deposit back and lock in your profit sooner. You avoid paying the land transfer tax. You avoid paying the HST on the new build. You maximize your return if prices are declining and you expect them to continue declining. And sometimes it just makes sense to move on. You don't want to close for some reason. You're moving the city, you change jobs, you just got married, whatever the case may be. The cons of assigning versus waiting: the pool of buyers for assignment sales is much smaller than the pool of buyers for resale properties. This is really true. If you guys have ever had an assignment listing, they don't move as fast. You have to tell your clients that. That's why I say it's a little risky if you have those clients that want to take, and sort of spread out money they have and put it on 4 different new builds because they intend to assign it. Great. You can encourage your clients to do this to make some money, but you have to warn them that there's the possibility that they may have to close because assignment sales don't move as quickly, right? They kind of sit there online a little bit. Marketing restrictions are annoying and reduce the chances of finding a buyer. So just imagine you're not allowed to put it up on MLS. MLS is sort of our lifeline, right? To reach out to 65,000 realtors at the same time. Price: what is the market value? If the condo building hasn't registered and there haven't been any resales yet, it can be difficult to determine how much the property is worth. Assignment sales tend to sell for less than resale. So it's difficult because you're sort of guessing what the market is. If you're lucky, maybe we're in an assignment period now for this new condo that's about to close in 6 months and everybody's putting up assignments on MLS. Great, that's easy. But if there's nothing there, if there's nothing to find, how do you know where to put the pricing for that, right? And assignment sales can be complicated. So you want to make sure that you're working with an agent like us who's experienced with assignment sales, right? So I think I'm going to end up putting a kit in for everybody for assignments. Just because I realized there wasn't one in there in our templates. I'm going to go here. Where is it? It's not, oh, there it is. So we'll go back to our web forms. I just sort of opened one up today and threw it in there. The contracts look very similar to our agreement of purchase and sales that we use on a regular basis. Okay, let me stop the share there and come back so you guys online can follow. Okay, so I pulled up, the freehold and the condominium. We'll look at the freehold. So you see here assignee, right? So you're going to put the person who originally purchased this is the person buying the contract, and assigner is the one who's assigning the contract to the new buyer. So assigner would be your client's name, the one who's selling the contract, right? And then, you got all the regular stuff in here where you're putting the address in and what side it's fronting on. You don't have a legal description usually yet because it hasn't been well, actually, sorry, when you get your builder paperwork, you do have a legal description there. You put the purchase price and everything. But then at the end, you're going to see there's a worksheet here. Where is it? There we go. This is what makes it different. They have a Schedule B in here aside from our Schedule A. And it's just sort of taking apart to sort of clarify who gave what deposit and who owes what in this. So total purchase price, including the original agreement, purchase, sale, and this assignment agreement, right? So what's the total purchase price? Purchase price of original agreement of purchase and sale is indicated in Schedule C. Deposits paid by the assigner to the seller under the original agreement of purchase sale as indicated in Schedule C, right? Payment by the assignee to the assigner for this assignment agreement. Deposit paid under this assignment agreement, right? And balance for the payment of this assignment agreement. So you're going to have to do a little bit of math here and find out everything. It gets a little bit confusing at the end of the day, but that's how it looks a little bit different from our regular agreement of purchase and sale. Another thing I wanted to note, sorry.
So can we go a little bit to, for example, where it says on the purchase price on the first page? Are we putting the purchase price as what we bought or what we're selling?
No, but this is between the person who already has a contract with the builder and the person who's buying it.
For 700.
Right.
So now I want to sell it for 900.
So now you're putting 900 on this beginning of this contract. Yeah. Because it's what's happening between me and you right now. So I already bought from the builder, you're buying from me. This contract is between me and you. You're putting the purchase price that you're buying it from me.
Okay.
So you're putting the 900.
Schedule B, I'll ask you the question. So you see how you read different numbers to put. So the first section isn't it supposed to be the original price?
Yes.
Number one.
Number one is the original price.
Yes.
Then number two is for example, 700. Then it will be 900.
Yes.
And then the deposit. Then number three is what we give to the builder.
Yeah, what we've given.
Okay, and then number four is
payment by assignee to assigner for this assignment agreement. So what's owed? So this is the total that's owed. So you're giving me my deposit plus the increased value.
So I'm gonna say if I'm asking for 100 and I give them 70, so here will be 100,000 or it will be the 20,000 difference.
So whatever the 20% is, whatever the purchase price is, plus the increased value. So if you're buying, sorry, I forget what numbers you use, but if I bought it for 600 and you're buying for 700 for me, you owe me 100,000 plus my 20% deposit. So this is the total amount that you're paying to me.
Okay, so the whole thing, the profit plus the deposit.
Yeah.
And what is number 5?
Deposit paid under this assignment agreement. So this is the deposit. This is showing what deposit that we've paid under this assignment agreement. So if I've paid 20%, this is just taking that separate to show me, right?
Okay.
So whatever 20% is. So if it's $100,000 purchase, this would be 20,000 here. What's the deposit?
To the builder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the difference is there.
The balance of the payment for the assignment agreement.
Okay. So that's in a way profit, whatever I'm taking.
Yeah. That would be your 100,000, the 600 to 700,000. Right?
It is much easier if you can make a case like, what we are discussing.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. If you want me to go over it again, we'll go over it again and maybe we'll fill it out. We'll go over a couple of cases. Yeah, maybe I can grab somebody's builder contract too and we can see what the assignments are in that and actually go through one. This, we were just doing a quick introduction because I knew it would take so long to go and do it, but we'll go through a case by case. The one thing I wanted to mention too is if you guys are putting assignment sales up, I have seen Treb complain over and over again because I deal with all the complaints in the office, right? Writing back to Rico and Treb and everything. Mm-hmm. The biggest mistake our agents are making is when you post your listing online is they're putting, because there's what are the maintenance fees, right? What are the taxes? We don't know, right? You have to be putting up on your MLS listing 0. And then you got to put down that the taxes and maintenance fees are not like taxes aren't assessed yet. Maintenance fees are, set to be approximately this kind of thing, right? Because Treb is coming back when they see that 0, they don't want that 0 to be there for taxes, and they're writing up our agents and sending complaints to the office. Like every assignment sale that comes through this office, I'm getting that complaint on my desk, right? So we have to make sure that you guys are putting that in. It's what the proper way to do is put the 0 in and then put in your remarks that taxes are not assessed yet. Yeah.
So you have created a template for buying, basically.
I haven't. I'm going to create. So you know how we go into our templates here, when you guys go and create, and I created all these ones for the office. I haven't done an assignment sale one yet. So I think that's a good one I can throw in there. So I only threw in commercial lease offer. I didn't do commercial purchase. I refuse to do it because commercial purchases are so scary and so different. Like they're so different. I want you guys to come to me when you go to create your commercial offers, right? But I put like all the condo and the freehold. I even put the parcel of tied land in there. But I think I should throw an assignment template in there for you guys.
So I had last couple of weeks ago, I came and I wanted help. Like I have now a client of mine ready to close and asked me to do assignment. So I asked the office to help me, but then they use the same.
Yeah, that's fine. Listing paperwork's fine.
What I need to ask is the permission to list it now, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to read the builder paper. So the listing paperwork's the same. So if it's a condo, freehold. Listing paperwork's the same. You don't have to look for an assignment listing paperwork, right? It's only when you're doing the agreement of purchase and sale that it's counting, right? But when you go to, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. We were talking about that.
So if I have
listing it.
Sell this house, do I need to fill up any form?
Oh, that's what I want to say. Yeah, no, you have to ask them. The first thing you should be doing is asking for the builder paperwork. Before you do any paperwork, waste your time, start loading the listing, anything, you should say to him, okay, please give me your builder paperwork. And you should be reading and making sure that assignment is allowed, if there's a cost for assignment, and if you're allowed to advertise on MLS.
So, but cost is that there's no permission to advertise. So I should still
Then
ask
you
him
cannot
to
be-
sign
you
the
cannot put it on
agreement, right?
MLS.
So if there's no permission to advertise, you have to sign an exclusive listing. You know how it says MLS or exclusive on the top of our listing? You're signing the exclusive side. Exclusive just means it's not going up on MLS. So you're going to advertise any other way you can, like maybe at our office meeting, or maybe in our group chat, or maybe other realtors that you talk to, or maybe you're going to do an e-blast, or maybe you're going to do, I don't know, like any other way you can market it that's allowed in that builder paperwork. But for some reason, some builders don't want you to put it up on MLS.
And
Yeah.
the price that we're gonna be listing should be there.
Yes. Yeah.
Unit price.
Yeah. Yeah. The price can be there. They're just iffy about advertising on MLS sometimes.
If I'm like selling the assignment, then how the commissions will be displayed?
The commissions are still the same at the end of the day. If you look at assignment sales, they're still offering 2.5. Your side, if you're listing it, you can negotiate. Yeah. Yeah. But like you want to check though too. Like, I mean, if you're in an area, I don't know, Beaverton, we're doing an assignment sale up there, maybe check and see if there's other assignments. If they're all only offering 2.25, then you have to be competitive with that, right? And offer a little bit less then. Yeah, you don't want to be, or maybe offering more would be good, but you can save your client money. Yeah.
And how early can you do the assignment?
That's the thing. You have to read the paperwork. So they might not allow assignment until like a year.
or 85% of the total sales.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll say that. There'll be a whole little section on assignment and whether they allow it, how much it'll cost, when you can start assigning the condo. Because it's not like I can buy it this week and then, oh, I don't want it, I can assign it next week. They won't allow that. There'll be a time period when you can sell.
So unless the builder that they sell like their total 90 or 95%, they don't allow any assignment before that.
I know, but sometimes the builder builds it in 3-4 months, and sometimes people saying 3 months is not enough to list that because it takes longer the paperwork and all.
What are they building in 3 months? I'd like to buy that.
Yeah.
I always find like it's 3 years and with the delay.
Then the rest is goes.
No.
But so usually you find if you're that close to completion, if you're talking like say you're buying in phase 3 and now your client wants to assign it and they're already starting to build and they're going to finish it quickly, then yeah, that's why I say you have to warn your client. You have to say you're buying in phase 3, you're not buying in phase 1 before they've even broke ground. This project's due to be complete soon. You might be forced to close it before I can sell this assignment because the assignment doesn't move that quickly. I see what you're saying now. Like it's almost built.
I buy pre-construction like after before a month, it's not even done 50% because things go, and then suddenly within that month, you see it's like it's done. It's like, of course, sometimes in a week. Like recently, I bought a house. 2 weeks ago, I sent the appraisal to appraise it.
Yeah.
It was not done by 97%, and TD Bank wanted 97 whatever percent.
Yeah.
It was like around 80 something, and I've had 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, so the last week we send them.
Yeah.
Just like Thursday was closing, we sent them Monday, which was the bank was panicking, like, okay, we cannot close for you.
Yeah.
If we don't receive it today, they needed it 7 days.
Yeah.
Right before. So sometimes, yes, it is kind of last minute date.
Yeah. Yeah. So it just depends on what phase you're buying it for your clients, right? Usually you find these guys who just want to take their money and spread it over a couple of developments because they have no intention of closing and they just want to assign it. There's people who like to make money in real estate like that. You find they won't buy anything unless it's phase 1. They want it before anybody's broken ground. Do you know what I mean? They won't buy that close to completion because that you're not making as big a profit when you're buying it because phase 1 is selling way less than phase 2, phase 3, right? So yeah.
Hello, Christian. I have a 2 question.
Sure.
Yeah. My first question is regarding the assignment sale, the 2 closing. Well, first closing is assigner and assignee, right?
Yes.
So when closing the assigner and assignee, that time needed the land transfer tax.
Sorry, do you need what? Sorry.
Land transfer.
No,
Land
you
transfer
don't need.
tax.
No, because the assignee is the one responsible for the land transfer tax. They take over the obligations of the original contract.
Yeah.
So they're responsible for the closing fees, the land transfer fees, the HST, all of that stuff, directly with the builder.
Okay. My second question is about the HST. So first buyer is qualified for the HST, right? And HST is the 13%.
Okay.
Yeah, that will be get the ACST the qualify for the first buyer, right? What about
No,
the
because when you assign your contract, you're assigning that over to the new person because they're responsible, right? So they're
no.
responsible for any.
My question is that the ACST first buyer, I mean the assigner is the qualify for the ACST during the closing time, right? And when the assigner sell this one to second buyer, uh, that means the assignee. So when they buy the assignee during the closing time, assignee to the with the builder, that time get the ACST.
I'm sorry, I don't really catch what you're saying at the end of.
Yeah. No, my question is the ACST regarding
Yeah.
the ACST.
If it's my first
Again,
home, I need HST.
Right.
The builders don't charge.
Well, technically you pay it, but you get it as a rebate.
Well, the builder gets
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You sign the paper, the builder gets
Yeah.
it. So
this is the assignee the first buyer. I'm asking the first buyer is qualified for the ACST rebate, right?
Not
First,
no, because okay, so once the assignee actually closes with the builder, the assigner has nothing to do with the contract anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why they say there's a first closing. Once that first closing happens, the assigner has nothing to do with the contract, the closing, the HST, anything anymore. It's the assignee and the builder. Because the assigner doesn't come then later on and get put back into the contract. Do you know what I mean?
no. I'm not clear. I'm not clear. The ACST, the first buyer is qualified for the ACST rebate when he closed this one because assignment sale. First
But he's
buyer
not
is
closing
already
it. So
yeah.
in order to
First buyer is not closing to the builder. So second buyer is the assignee.
yes.
Assignee is closing to the finally to the builder. So assignee is qualified for the ACST rebate.
Yes, as long as they fall under the whatever categories the first one did, they're taking over their assignment. They're taking over, sorry, their contract with the builder. So they get whatever the first buyer was getting. Because the first buyer's not involved anymore. So they're not going to get a rebate.
The second buyer, if they're eligible for the
if they're eligible, yeah. They'll get it,
Otherwise,
exactly. Exactly.
No, the assignment builder say the assignee is not qualified for the ACST.
So the on HST applies to the original buyer. So the assignee does not qualify. They have to pay the HST.
They have to
and
pay
I
it,
don't
okay.
understand why.
Okay. Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying. You're right. I have heard something like that before. We should find that out. So what we're gonna do is I'll do the subject again. We'll do like a role play where we actually fill out a couple.
Yeah.
So we do a little practice, right? And then maybe I'll find this out. I'll call my accountant and find out exactly. Because you're right. Once you say that, I have heard that before. You're right.
No.
Yeah.
Kristen.
I get what you're saying now. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying now online there. I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
The builder say assignee is not qualified for the
Yeah.
ACST
Yeah,
rebate.
yeah.
After the closing, the assignee can apply directly to the CRA for the ACST. Maybe the assignee will get the ACSTs later. First have to pay. I first have to pay the ACST.
Okay.
And second,
that's really good for us to know because if we're, for instance, if we're governing the purchaser, this is something important that we should really know the answer to properly because we don't want to misinform our client, right? So
I don't know why the government has to, like, I mean, why that if I am the assignee and it's my first home, I should be qualified for it. But I heard that that builders do not give that because maybe I'm not in the position of signing for them to release that, the HST to them.
Yeah.
But then a lot of time people sign the paper that if he's the original buyer, the signer, then he might say, okay, he have to pay because it's an extra money.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
If the HST rebate, it has to be a first time home buyer or let's say I'm a second time home buyer, but for this home or this condo, I'm a first time buyer.
I think it's always for first time buyer only.
Or first time buyer. So like one time up. Only one time. Yes. Oh, okay.
Use it wisely.
No, it's not correct actually. First time buyer. So I bought at a house. The only thing I signed my papers that it's my resident home. So if it is my resident home, I don't pay because I just signed with the builder saying I'm time for them. I'm downgrading my current home will be.
It's your primary residence.
Primary residence.
So that my residence, then you have to declare that. Then otherwise,
Cares about
otherwise, CR will come back to you. And they will get the money with the interest.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. CRA likes to get their money, that's for sure.
So the HST rebate, the CRA is very careful.
Yeah.
They case by case. No, they're not doing case by case. They do every case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the builder, they want to safeguard their interest also. That's why they don't give rebate in the first hand. No, you have to pay the HST first. Then you can claim it from the CRA
and get it from as a rebate,
and you have to prove CRA that this is your principal house.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why, like CRA, they don't give the HST rebate in the first hand. They're gonna pay to the CRA and builders. Okay, if you're eligible, then claim it to CRA and CRA will give you back. So the builder, they want to keep it clean their hands.
Yeah. No, I know. CRA is
there's
scary.
There's a lot of fraud there with this. There's a lot of fraud there.
Hey. Oh my God, yeah, because nobody wants to pay it. Nobody wants to pay it. The HST and capital gains is another one. Capital gains is the one that everybody runs from. They're like, oh my God,
The second day you're put on the rent.
Well, that was really good. I took up enough of your guys' time now. It's been an hour there for everybody. So let me know how your week is going and what you need, and hopefully we can find some more business. So talk to your clients now. The biggest thing is you need to be good at follow-up. If you are experiencing a slow time right now, which is the same thing I get here from everybody coming into the office, how's business? A little slow. How's business? A little slow. What do? You have to return to your center of influence. Go back to your center of influence. Start calling and talking to your clients. They forget about you. I'm sorry, you may be a really nice person, but they're not thinking of their realtor every single day, right? So you have to go through and call your clients, your past clients, your center of influence, people you know, and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing in the market today, right? And they go, oh, the interest rate's really high. My mortgage has gone up $1,000. I'm a little struggling. Okay, if do you want to sell your property? Do you want to downsize? Do you want to, maybe if they have 2 or 3, maybe you want to sell one of them, right? You want to move somewhere else. You got to get in touch with your clients and find out what's going on. Only you should know whether they have, sons going to college next year. Oh, great, that's fantastic. What are you doing? Are they renting, or you want to buy something? I think it's better off if you buy something. Prices are down right now. Let's see what's in, Guelph if they're going there to college or whatnot, or university. So get in touch with your clients, find out what's happening with them. It's the only way you're going to get moving. I do it myself. And as soon as we get a little bit slow, I start going back and calling everybody in my center of influence, start talking to my past clients and see what's going on. It's the best way to pull your business and get it going, right? Yeah. And do some marketing. Why not?
And don't sell the assignment, because if you sell the assignment, you're not making money. your income basically you're giving to other people.
Yeah. So there you go. Well, everybody have a good week. I will see you Thursday evening. Bye, everyone online.